Guys, welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. We have a promotional video today, both in terms of our channel, because we've finally got a custom URL. I can't do that. I'm really bad at that.
Yeah, don't need to do it either.
No, yeah. We've also got a promotional video because we are doing a special on Watford and Norwich. Like a bad smell, can't keep these guys away. Guys, if you are watching this from Watford and Norwich and you've never seen our video before, check us out. Give us a sub. And if you don't like our content after maybe a couple of weeks of watching, you can always leave the Sweet and Sour Club. But anyway, Scott, Watford and Norwich, back again, just as the title says, back again.
Yeah, hopefully everyone understands the reference there.
Yeah, I don't claim to be a rapper, but yeah.
I think they will. Yeah, as you say, back again. You know how it's looking as well. It could be the first time in an absolute long time if Bournemouth go on to win the playoffs. So all three of those actually relegated come back up. But
never happened.
I'd be very surprised. I can't remember a time it's actually happened, and if it has, it's been such a long time. But anyway, we're going to focus on Norwich and Watford. We're going to speak about what's gone well for them, why have they come straight back up. Two very different strategies here, which I'm sure we'll dive into. And then we'll also speak about how we think they're going to do this time round, what might be a bit different from the previous year. Let's start with Norwich. And I'll let you kick things off.
Well, I mean, they kept faith in Daniel Farke, didn't they? It's something that a lot of Premier League teams get rid of their managers a month or two in their Premier League season.
With the very different strategies, isn't it? Because Watford have done the complete opposite. They've actually.
Well, I was thinking of the opposite again in terms of look at West Brom this season. Get rid of Bilic after 10, 15 games, and look what's happened. Not only did they keep him last season after knowing they'd go down after 10, 12 games, they've kept him again, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it does. He understands the team very well, and once again, he's got the best out of them in the Championship. They
had a shaky start, though. A very shaky start. They had 4 points after 4 games, but then they were top after 12 games. So, I'll say what I wanted to say, and then I'll jump onto you to finish it off with Norwich. They're very different to when they went up last time, because last time they scored 31 of their 93 goals 2 seasons ago when they went up after the 75th minute. It was just goals, but had a very leaky defence. This season, I think they've only scored 63 or 64 league goals, but they've kept like 18 clean sheets with Tim Krul. So it just shows you the stark contrast in their playing styles.
And let's not forget that they lost Godfrey. One of the things I was going to say is, they've stuck with the manager. They also managed to keep a lot of their players. They've kept the likes of Aaron, Cantwell,
Pukki scored 25 goals this season.
Yeah, and that's going to be the red herring, isn't it, with Pukki? We'll move on to that later, but it's going to be a question of is he one of them? Is he one of them that's just really built as a Championship striker? And, of course, last time they were in the Premier League, they started really well, didn't they? Pukki started really well. Remember, he scored against the likes of City, and then the goals just went, didn't they? So,
a lot of people said that about. Well, people said that about like Bamford and that, didn't they? People just maybe need a bit more time. Who knows? Moving on to Watford, very different in terms of. I mean, in the last year, Watford have had 5 managers. 5 managers in 12. I mean, even for Watford standards, that's special. That is really special.
The funniest one out of that was it was the manager that brought in. I think he lasted 11 games, of which I don't know. You could kind of, in fact, you can't get it. But the one thing that people would argue is I don't think they were playing great football, and in fact, they only won 4 out of those 11 games. So. And look, I mean, we said this, Norwich and Watford, very different stances with the managers, but they've both worked. And since bringing in their new manager, it's gone brilliantly for them, hasn't it, really? Watford.
Well, to be honest, Watford started the season with Vladimir Ivic. I believe I've pronounced that correctly. They sacked him when he was only 4 points off automatic. There was a few Watford fans, or quite a lot of Watford fans, wondering, it was kind of out the blue. I mean, their decision has been vindicated. They're back in the Premier League, so you can't really, I don't know, this Watford style of giving managers 12 games, and if we moan about the modern game, managers only get a year or two. In Watford, you only get a month or two. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, the new manager's come in. He's actually won 14 out of his 19 games in charge so far. Another interesting thing, the same as Norwich here, is they did keep the majority of the squad. Obviously, they lost a big name in Decore. Norwich lost a big name in, like, obviously Godfrey going, who signed for Everton. But they kept the likes of Foster. They kept in goal, who could have probably gone and been a second keeper at a pretty big club, or could have moved to a Premier League club quite easily. They've kept.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say they've kept Czar, they've kept Hughes, they've kept Deeney, they've kept Gray. Interesting one I wanted to ask your opinion on actually was a lot of teams have suffered because of COVID. Do you reckon that these guys have maybe benefited because it's prevented other championship teams being able to spend? But at the same time, they managed to get a big fee for one or two players, but then you didn't see the demand come in so much for all their stars like you might do.
Well, that's the thing. You've got to think, if you were going to get relegated in any Premier League season, you go down the year of COVID because, your Deeneys, your Sars, your Andre Grays, these types of players could potentially just be snapped up. I mean, Sar at one point was being touted to go to Arsenal for a serious fee. Liverpool, I think I heard Goldbridge talking about rumours of United for 35 million. So, if you were going to go down, it was going to be this season. And then they've stumbled on João Pedro, the Brazilian. I believe he's 18 or something like that.
Yeah, he's 18, 19 years old. Yeah.
And he's smashed it as well. So
one for the FIFA players out there is someone that you try and sign straight away, or if you can't sign him straight away, sign him in the next season, because on FIFA he's got a lot of potential, but that's another thing.
I'll be honest, I don't play FIFA.
I just wanted to throw that out there. He's a prominent name in FIFA, really, for any career mode players. But yeah. I mean, Watford's goals, actually, they've had quite a lot of different scorers. They've had 20 different goal scorers, and only Sarr is higher than 10 goals for the season in the league.
It's not a bad problem to have, but the problem is that doesn't cut it in the Premier League. You're not going to have your right back scoring 6 goals. You're not going to have 4 or 5 midfielders all on 2 or 3, 4 goals each, as we found out to Wolves' detriment. If you haven't got a goal scorer, you're going to struggle. I know it doesn't look like we're struggling this season, hitting 40 points already, but we have. You've got to think that they'd have to keep Sarr, and if they don't, they're probably going to get a good fee for him, to be honest, because he was a wanted man when they went down. Now that he's done it again in the Championship, you've got to think people are going to start coming back into the grounds now. So they probably would get 40 mil for him, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. Still quite a young player as well. I mean, Norwich had the exact same. They had Buendia linked to Arsenal. Cantwell was linked to a number of clubs, and for good reason. I think Spurs. Max Aarons, I think he actually nearly went and signed for Barcelona, didn't he? But that deal fell through. There was that link there. So they did really well to keep hold of these kind of players. I guess, if we start to look at, the season coming up, the Premier League season. Yeah. Do you feel that they're going to keep hold of all these big names now they've managed to get them back up? Or do you reckon maybe they might face a bit more struggle? I think, for instance, I know Aaron's already been linked with the likes of Everton.
I think you'll see a lot of players of that ilk maybe coming up, or players that are going down this season with Sheffield United, West Brom, and whoever, Fulham probably. I think you'll see a lot of those players leave, because you're going to get someone like a Liverpool or a Man U. For example, a player that I love at Fulham, Anderson. I'd love to sign him. And you think you might have to spend 25 million on him, but he's proven, he's there. Can clubs afford to risk a 30 million on a player in Portugal or, the Dutch league that maybe can't cut it here? I think we're going to see a lot more gems in this upcoming window.
I suppose you've also got to consider the cap now on buying players from overseas as well, which might become a factor.
Let's finish off with what you think for next season. Just, very quickly, do you think either of these clubs, neither or both, not only have a chance to stay up, but will?
Well, I'll start off with Norwich. I mean, you look at the face of it with Norwich, a lot of people go, well, what's changed? For me, I think although the team itself hasn't changed, I think they've got a lot better chance than when they went down previously. The manager's had another year with them, and you picked up on something key. Norwich, when they came up last time, they played their way and they were really commended for it. But as you say, that attacking way came with the fact of leaking goals. It looks like Farke has now changed that. They're going to be a lot more defensively robust and a lot more adapted to the Premier League. I think they'll treat it a lot more smartly. And let's not forget, a lot of these players that came up last time were very young. They've now gained another 2 years experience. Aarons, if they keep him, Cantwell, Buendia. These are all going to be players now that have got, they've got more time. Pucky's obviously had another year, yes, in a lower league, but in the English setup.
Still 25 goals.
Exactly. He could come back a lot better. So I have a feeling that Norwich might actually be okay next season. I think
that. I think of the two of them, and let's, for argument's sake, say it is Bournemouth that come up. For some reason, I'm just leaning towards Norwich. It's their 5th Premier League promotion. How many times can you go up and keep making the same mistakes? And I think they've learned from that. As I spoke about the manager, keeping him, he's got that Premier League season under his belt already. He's already got 2 championship seasons under his belt because he took them up previously. So I just don't think he's going to make the same mistakes. He's not going to go away to United and play expansive football. He's not going to play Liverpool and have 6 attackers on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? I think he's going to learn that. Yes, it's nice to have Jamie Redknapp and Thierry Henry in the Sky Sports halftime in the studio saying, "Oh, well done. You're playing good football, but with 3-0 down at halftime, it looks good." I think they're past that now. You want to stay in the league, so I think they're going to be a lot more pragmatic. I think Norwich will be okay. I don't think Watford will struggle either. I think even from Watford's team now, looking at the players, I recognise a lot of them from the Premier League and a few good names like this Pedro that we spoke about. I think they're better than 3 or 4 teams that are in the Premier League now already. So I
agree. I mean, obviously, as you say, I'm looking at the ones that probably won't go down now because obviously Sheffield United, you think West Brom are gone, and obviously Fulham are probably going to be gone. I think this Watford team might be better than Brighton.
I was just going to say Brighton. I think they both give Newcastle a good game.
Yeah, Burnley as well, because Burnley aren't going to have a lot of money to spend. They never do. Yeah, this one, I'd probably say there's more chance of Norwich stopping up, from my opinion. But I definitely wouldn't write Watford off either. And you've got to remember, ever since this manager's come in, he's won 40. As I said earlier, he's won 14 of his 19 games. They're coming up with a lot of momentum.
The reason they struggled so much at the start of the season is because they were getting a lot of draws, and he's turned those draws into wins. That was the big deal. It was hard to beat Watford at the start of the season. Not many teams did, but these draws are now turning into wins, and it does add up. So, and
that's another key element, though, isn't it? Even there, that you've said Watford were hard to beat. So, obviously, as you say, he's turned these draws into wins. You might not have to do that in the Premier League, and if they've still got that hard to beat mentality, then they're going to pick up enough draws, which will probably keep them up. So, I think a lot of positivity for both teams, to be honest.
Absolutely. I agree. I completely agree. Well, there you have it, guys. Both of us think that both Norwich and Watford will be fine next season. Maybe add a couple of players here and there just to bolster the squad. You've both had fantastic seasons this season. They are back again. Watford and Norwich, you are Premier League. Take care.
Yeah, see you on the next one, guys.